Welcome to our school, CamEd Business School. It's always a pleasure to talk to you. I learned so much from you. That's why I love meeting you because I'm a professor of law. So here today is my chance to learn from you directly, one of the well-known experts in this field. Now, to just start off, right? People keep thinking, well, we have banks and then we have microfinances. So what is actually the real difference? Is there any?
Yes, thank you. It's a pleasure to be here. Yes, there are fundamental differences. Without getting into too much detail, I think the key differences are the target markets. Microfinance really target consumers that are in the unbanked and underdeveloped segments.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and the key sort of driver behind that is to increase financial inclusion.
So first of all, I would like to say good afternoon, Mr. Sam. It's a great honor to be in here listening to your speech. So my question is related to cyber crime or cyber security. As you have mentioned that Amret use more technology, especially AI or machine learning and sort of stuffs. So what are the concerns about cybersecurity that you may have on the system that Amret provide to its customers? In this 21st century, people usually attack each other on using technology rather than using brute force. So what are your thoughts on that, sir?
Very good question and very pertinent to the biggest challenge that we face now. So you're right, as we use more and more technology, you become more exposed to the risks of that as well. Actually, when we started our journey of transformation, it was good timing for us that the MBC introduced their new technology risk management framework, which was very similar to Singapore. I see your t-shirt, right? Yeah, and it gave financial institutions 2 years to implement all the controls and policies and tools and so forth. We put that at the core of our strategy, and when we did the assessment of where we were at the point, we were 38% compliant. Yeah. Now we're almost 100. And I say almost 100% compliant because we have one system that we're implementing right now is AI-based system for fraud prevention. And this is a system that's being implemented and we hope to go live early next year. And that would take us to 100%. Now, what does that involve? Yeah, it involves many tools that we have in place. So we have many firewalls. We have many solutions that monitor our vulnerabilities. Yeah, we just rolled out 3,000 tablets to our staff, as I mentioned earlier, to do loan. So we have technologies that monitor the vulnerabilities on these tablets, and then we close out vulnerabilities. Yeah. So the first action is to know what your weaknesses are, your vulnerabilities, and close those out. And we have very specific solutions that we've implemented over the last 3-4 years that really monitor the vulnerabilities and close those out. We also have then the protection. We have, as I mentioned, firewall, different types of firewalls with different layers of technology. Yeah. We use international technologies like something called CM, which is Security Incident and Event Management. And these solutions syncs in with the global sort of databases of the latest threats. Yeah. So every day, all our system logs are collected and they're checked against these latest threats, and then we close those threats out. Yeah. Phishing is still, phishing emails is still the biggest challenge. Yeah. Now, no institution can completely block right. There's always some that get through. So again, we've implemented a lot of solutions to protect us from phishing attacks.
So first of all, good afternoon, sir. So I have two questions about the group lending. So if you don't mind, could you explain the concept of group lending in microfinance?
Yeah. Okay. I will try. Right. So group lending used to account for a bigger percentage of our portfolio, but now it accounts for about 10%. It's actually quite a complex arrangement. Yeah. So imagine a village and they need a collective loan to buy some equipment in the village. Yeah. Some farming equipment, typically, yeah. So a group of individuals come together. They don't usually have collateral, right? Yeah. And what we do is we have one individual as the chief of the village, yeah. And we provide a loan with the chief as the main individual. That's the main sort of individual of the loan, right? But then we also have information on the other individuals as well in terms of, what their capacity, what is their role, and so forth, right? And again, this is done through very close relationships and understanding of the dynamics between the group and so forth. So as a group, they take a loan, yeah? Now, if one individual within the group has a challenge keeping up with their portion of repayment, then the rest of the group come together and cover that individual. So a lot of it is dependent on the cohesion, the cooperation between the group members, yeah? And actually it works quite well in the sense that we hardly ever get any issues of individuals sort of breaking that covenant between them, right? Yeah. Obviously, you have to understand that these are individuals that are at high risk. Okay. When you have poverty, you're always one illness or one bad, season through flooding or whatever to your crop, right? Yeah, before you're in trouble. So there are two mechanisms of safety. First one is the group itself, right? So there's some security within the group, yeah, that the group will help out the individual.
Sir, it's my great pleasure to have this opportunity to ask some questions to you directly. So it is a really general and common question about microfinance. Since I heard from you that Amret is really sophisticated and growing really fast rapidly, and I just wonder if you have any thought about going to commercial banks and staying as microfinance.
Yes. Thank you for the question. So this is an interesting question that is often asked, right? Yeah. And again, there are no plans for us to go to a commercial bank. Our shareholders are 51% almost are advanced group, yeah, and they're one of the leading microfinance with affiliates in lots of African countries. Amret is the biggest one in the portfolio, but they have 7 or 8 other affiliates in microfinance as well. And then other shareholders are IFC, as well as FMO, which is a Holland-based development bank. Yeah, and the shareholders are very much, committed to the social impact. Yeah, and we feel that we add a lot of value to the market as a microfinance. We really push on financial inclusion. Now we're offering other products and services as well. Yeah, from a funding perspective, we're quite well managed. We do deposits, so we have around $1 billion of deposits, and that gives us a good stable funding to provide access to credit and loans to our clients. As well as that, we have reputable international lenders that lend money to Amret as well, and most of these are interested and driven by the social impact as well. So there's a lot of alignment of the shareholders, the lenders, and then the Amret management as well to continue to make a positive impact.
So great, sir. So the question is, how does the regulatory environment of microfinance differ from the traditional banking?
The regulatory environment.
Oh, regulatory. Yes, good question. Thank you. So, generally speaking, if traditional microfinance regulatory environment is usually less stringent, generally, yeah. But within Cambodia, a lot of microfinance institutions like ourselves have evolved, right? Yeah. So we do deposits, we do many other services as well. So there's a lot more alignment now from a regulatory perspective in terms of what we have to adhere to, with similar to banks, right? Okay, and obviously for smaller microfinance that could be quite difficult, yeah. But for larger ones like ourselves, it's not a huge challenge, okay. So there's a lot of alignment from credit risk management. We follow the same sort of requirements. Many other requirements mentioned earlier in terms of standardization of the contracts for lending, capital buffer, all this sort of, capital, adequacy ratio, all these kind of things, right, are very much aligned from a regulatory perspective. So I think given the scale and complexity of some of the large microfinance institutions like Amret, it's only right that we are aligned with banks, because you got to look at the, systemically, it's very important for the financial sector that there is alignment and you don't get this disparity that introduces a lot of over-indebtedness, a lot of risk into the market as well. So I think, to answer, there is not much difference now between the microfinance and commercial banks.
Which means if Amret wants to become a bank in the future, it would be easy.
It is, honestly. For us, it would be... Obviously, one of the big advantages that the banks have is their cost of funding, which is what we were talking about earlier.
Really, sir, I saw on your website about movement entrepreneurial loan. So do we have to put collateral or any requirement so we are able to get a loan?
There's different loan products, okay, and most of our loans have some form of collateral, yeah. So if it's a specific product, then yes, there'll be some collateral. Certain products we don't require collateral, but generally speaking, a lot of our loans do have collateral.
Okay, good. Well, I think in the last hour, you have been very generous in explaining various aspects of microfinance, how it works, right? So from the all perspective, regulatory perspective, client-based approach, new technology being developed now that, because you just said loan origination system now works so well because everything is connected, so it's easier for you now to verify. When you are connected to, for example, CamEd, and then someone got the ID, you already able to verify whether the ID is genuine or not, fake or not, right? So that helps a lot. And we also talked about cybersecurity. One of the students asked that question. And so now, just to summarize, maybe to close out the session, because the interest in the financial sector, we all know that, right? So that is the big elephant in the room that we cannot just hide. We know that the economy isn't as good as it used to be. Yes, we have predictions from previous institutions. Some people, I will not name the institution. Some institutions put it at 5%, some institutions put it at 6%. But in one of my recent engagements, there were also other predictions that say, well, maybe it's not going to be 5, not going to be 6, more likely 2.5. I'm not going to name that institution, but just to give you a perspective. Now, when you see that the disparity, I mean the difference in observations, right? Because no institution is perfect.
No.
Every institution, every rating agency use their own criteria, use their own raw material, right?
Yeah.
But now for you, as a real practitioner, what do you see? Do you think, yes, it's going to be still 5, 6, or do you think, no, that is too optimistic? Maybe it's much less than that. Not this year, next year, something like that.
Yeah. Very good question. And you know, there's a famous quote on economic models, or I think it was Professor Krugman who said, all models are wrong, but some are useful, right? Yeah. I think you're right, there is a variation in predictions for GDP output. 5% for me seems quite optimistic. You know, Cambodia, if you look at it from a very basic high-level perspective, you know, exports to the US and European economies is where most of our exports go to. So from a production perspective, there has been an impact there because the exports have been down because of what's happening globally through the you know, key markets with signs of recession. Also, last numbers I looked at, the imports were down as well.
On that note, I would like again to say thanks to our dear friend Saj from Amret Microfinance for all the time, the wisdom, the sharing. You know, I keep saying to myself, to everyone around me, to my students, that you can learn enough in the classroom, but it's just that. To learn more, you learn more from experts that do the work on a daily basis in and out, right? And that's why here at CamEd Business School, we always create these kind of opportunities for all of us to learn from experts like your good self directly. And we hope that this is the first time you give an interview face-to-face with me and my students and everyone else, but that won't be the last. You will be coming back. And so for that, I want to declare you a friend of CamEd Business School. So please, first of all, give him a round of applause. By declaring you a friend of CamEd Business School, so you have to wear this the way I do it right now. So if you don't mind, I'm going to pin you. So these are this. Maybe this one. Right? Okay, so now you're officially a big friend of CamEd Business School. Thank you again to Mr. Saj.